son, raised in Brooklyn, but born in Sicily. So obviously in the hierarchy of high tech, Sicily is probably number 10 in the list. But what I really wanted to do is talk about ZT, and this is our tagline. You know, ZT, our mission is to extend the life of legacy telecom investment by fighting obsolescence. We're significantly different than most of the companies that are presented today. Most of the companies were hardware, software-based, cloud-based. We're a services company. And what we do is really play in the legacy arena. You know, fundamentally, our value proposition is that there's a significant investment in the telephone network that is basically legacy, the old TDM stuff. And the best way to describe what we do is to give you my brief resume. I started in 1977 in AT&T Longlines, and I'll guarantee you that most of you have never heard of AT&T Longlines. That was the long-distance arm of AT&T. From there, I went to Western Electric. In Western Electric, I became the product manager for a product called DataKit. Anybody who was in the Bell system, they've heard of DataKit. DataKit was what you would call a protocol converter. And I can tell your age if you know what I'm talking about. It basically converted async, bisync, X25, and E2A telemetry to this proprietary protocol. It was the beginning of the data phase inside the Bell system with X25 and things like that. We were one of the most successful products in the history of Western Electric and AT&T. In the span from 1980, 82 to basically 2000, there was an embedded base of over $2 billion of this equipment. In 1996, as product manager, my revenues started to come down. And typically, when you look at in most high-tech products, you look at product lifecycle theory. I am a big believer of product lifecycle theory. That products go through their introduction phase, growth phase, maturity, then decline, and eventually exit. Basically, with DataKit, the revenue started dropping. At one point, at the peak of our cycle, we were $330 million per year in the revenue stream. By 1996, that dropped below $100 million. We were both product-oriented and we were also services-oriented. Half of the revenue product, half of it was services. Back in 96, my income statement, this is what I want to push to the entrepreneur. Think about the money, follow the money. You could have a great idea, unless you could show a return on investment to your shareholders or your employees, it doesn't mean anything. So in 1996, my management came to me and said, we want to shut DataKit down. The reason being is, based on our income statement, we were losing money. We had a ridiculously high R&D bill, about $20 million, on a revenue base of less than $100 million. I got 2 minutes? That's good. And basically, what I realized that by using the resources of that time, Western Electric and Lucid, I couldn't afford to support this product and maintain it and grow it. So I basically came with the conclusion that the only way to continue this legacy product was to create a company called DataTech, outside of Bell Labs, outside of Lucid at that time. And what I did was basically give them the intellectual property, license the intellectual property, and funded them for the current engineering and the sustaining engineering of the legacy product. My R&D bill went from $20 million, because you gotta understand, Bell Labs has to pay for Arno Penzias, that fancy room they have downstairs. That's where the money came from. The Bell Labs loaded salary in 1996 was $250,000 a year. Well, you don't need that to do bug fixes, patches, change the documentation. So I created DataTech to basically continue the support of this legacy product, current engineering, sustaining engineering. In 2010, my partner and I created ZT. The idea being is, even though we all love the new technologies, we love NFV, SDN, 5G, phone companies fundamentally can't afford to support the legacy stuff, as well as continue the capital investment in the newer technologies. Something's got to give. Wireline, which is the world that I came from, TDM, is still there. My mother still has a rotary phone. Most people still use fax machines. People have alarms that are basically RS-232. I know you know what I'm talking about. So the reality is, there is life of legacy equipment. It's how do you manage that transition? Companies like Nokia and Ericsson want them off the old stuff as fast as possible. They want to force them to get on the next platform, the next generation product. But the service providers have hundreds of billions of dollars in investment. They can't make that transition to either voice over IP, cloud, even though from a shareholder point of view, that have a lot of AT&T stock and things like that, it's the right thing to do. It's a finite sum in terms of money they've got. We are a cost-effective way to support the old legacy stuff versus the OEMs like the Nokias, the Ericssons, the Genband or Ribbon or what have you. So we've got a team of technical experts that support Nortel DMS switches, Western Electric switches, transmission gear from Sienna. All this, the reality is, the people that are supporting it are my age. They're in their mid-60s or 70s. They are retiring, they are being laid off. The technical talent is disappearing. So our value proposition is to extend the life of that equipment until the service providers are ready to move on. My plea to the entrepreneurs is think services, think life cycle, and you'll be better off. Any questions? Who's buying me the first drink? That's my first question.
Questions? No? Thank you very much. What?
Your current customer list? Who are your current?
I basically do a lot of work with Nokia, but my customer lists are AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, Frontier, Consolidated, who did stuff with the Boston Globe. OEMs really don't know how to deal with supporting a legacy product. They don't have the right cost structure. And what I pitch is to the OEMs, basically let us outsource it to us to do it at a much lower price target. Because guess what? Small companies don't have the overheads. Arno Penzias is not on my payroll. I'm not paying for Wilson and all the other guys. We're basically a technical support company that can do it much higher quality at a much lower price. And that's the value proposition for it. And we extend it to when companies complain. Think of your Honda Civic or your Honda Accord that has 200,000 miles. As long as you can maintain it, get repaired parts, you can keep driving it for another 200,000 miles. Do you want to sell it? Do you want to get rid of it to get a new car that's going to cost you 30,000, 40,000? That basically gets you from point A to point B. That's it.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much. That was great presentations. Now it's time to really just talk to